Namaste and welcome. Today it's my honor to introduce to Lokvani audience Megha Desai, who is the president of the Desai Foundation, which is an organization that empowers women and children through community programming to elevate health, livelihood, and menstrual equity in India. The organization has directly impacted over 8 million lives to date in 8 states in India. It has received several interesting awards and actually was recognized at the Clinton Global Initiative meeting in 2022 and was even visited by Secretary Hillary Clinton in 2023. Megha herself has a career in branding and marketing and then has later shifted into becoming the president of the Desai Foundation. She serves on several boards, including Thai and many other, and serves as an advisor to many companies. And she says Spicewell is her favorite right now. She has been featured even on TED, and you can see her talk on TED.com. Megha, what an amazing career. And I also learned you are a singer to boot. I don't know, all these wonderful talents in one human being, very difficult to find. So welcome to Lokvani. Namaste.
Namaste. It's so nice to be here. Thank you, Auntie, for having me.
My pleasure. I mean, we've seen you grow, and oh boy, you have really, really done an amazing job impacting so many lives. So now I know that the Lotus Festival, which is a fundraiser for the Desai Foundation, is coming up. So could you please share the details? When, where, how, and how can people attend the event?
Absolutely. We are so excited to host the Lotus Festival on Saturday, the 21st of September. It'll be at 5 p.m. at the Omni in Seaport, the Omni Hotel. This year, we're really excited because it's actually our 10th anniversary of hosting the Lotus Festival. And so this year, we wanted to do something a little different and bring our programming to life. So when you come to this year's Lotus Festival, you're going to actually be able to interact with our programming to kind of see how it operates on the ground in the villages that we work, uplifting the women and girls that we work with around health, livelihood, and menstrual equity. And so we're really excited to share that experience. And if you want to join us, you can still buy some tickets. We have a couple tables left. So please go to our website, and I'm sure you'll include the link here, and folks can join us on Saturday.
I look forward to that. I think it's always, the Lotus Festival is always a fantastic event, I would say. And so I know that you were saying we're going to interact with the programming, but the entertainment portion, the auction portion is also quite wonderful. And I think this time you have a speaker, Neha Shah. So could you tell us a little bit about the program itself?
Yes. So Neha Desai Shah is no relation, is a incredible entrepreneur. She is running this massive logistics company that is, one of those kind of quiet power entrepreneurs that we always really love and admire. But what's so important about Neha and what she represents is this next generation of entrepreneurs and career successful folks that have incorporated impact early in their life and their career. And so not only is she going to talk a little bit about her incredible achievements with GEP, but also her incredible achievements through some of her other charitable organizations that she's worked with and really dedicates time and effort. I think a lot of us oftentimes feel like we have to make money now and then we'll give charity later. And what she is a beautiful embodiment of is how you can actually incorporate that into your life from the very beginning, whether it's through time, through advice, through connection, and then through money. And so I'm really excited for people to hear from Neha. We also have the incredible Rena Roy from ABC News, and our very own board member, Ari Ufser, will be singing at the event. And she's actually written a song exclusively for the Desai Foundation that she'll be debuting at the event.
Oh, wow, wow. You always seem to attract the most interesting and talented people to your board. So that's very exciting. I think you yourself a singer. So I think music is so important as a, art aficionado myself. I think the best people who can lead organizations must have an artistic mind. So thank you for
Couldn't
that.
agree more.
I was going to say, I would love to hear more about the Desai Foundation itself. I know it started as a family foundation by our own wonderful Samir and Nilima Desai ji, who have been such pillars of the community. I think there are so many organizations they started, including Thai. I know Thai was, in fact, in their office for a very long time. And it started as a family foundation, and then now you have really made it into a public foundation. So we'd love to learn more about that.
Absolutely. You know, the Desai Foundation started like many family foundations do. My parents wanted to support organizations that they believed were doing great work. And over the course of the first 10 years of that journey, we started to notice certain programs were working, other NGOs, it wasn't as effective. And so as any good entrepreneur, we got our hands dirty and kind of helped support and build. And what we ended up finding and discovering is that after about 10 years, we had like 15 MVPs, most viable products. And again, like any good entrepreneur, our next instinct was to scale. This is around the time where I got involved. And, Sam and Nalima came to me and said, listen, we want to convert to a public organization so that we can truly scale, but we're not exactly sure what that looks like.
Yeah.
And I was running a branding firm at the time. I had already exited advertising and I was running my own firm. And so I kind of treated the Desai Foundation like one of my clients at first, right? Helping them reshape in terms of building out a board and helping create best practices from a financial perspective, helping to reframe the programming and the mission. Um, and really the motivation for us to convert from a private to a public organization is we believe that growth and expansion happens when there are more people at the table.
Mm.
And so how do you extend that table, whether it's the board of directors, whether it's donors, whether it's collaborators? Those types of expansions don't happen without that support. I can tell you, we are in Tamil Nadu because of our collaboration and partnership with Santana Christensen. We are in certain places because of different types of collaborations. And it's not just money, right? When you're entering into a new place, you need help navigating those spaces and connecting to the right folks. And I really attribute, when I took over the organization, we were in 250 villages in one state. And I think we had collectively impacted some 200,000 lives. A short 10 years later, we are in 8 states in over 3,500 villages. And actually, we just crossed the $9 million lives impacted mark. So that expansion at that scale only really happens when there are more folks sitting at the table. And that's why we made that conversion. The work we focus on is really in three categories. It is around health, and what we mean by health is access, screening, and awareness. Livelihood, by livelihood, we mean, yes, skilling, but also entrepreneurship, banking, and savings. And third is menstrual equity. And the Desai Foundation is the most robust menstrual equity program in India, attacking all aspects of not just access to products, but stigmas, education, awareness. And that is what we are focused on in terms of the women we serve.
Fantastic. So, how do you choose the villages you go into, and how do you start the work over there?
I love this question because the answer always surprises folks. You know, I really feel like the villages choose us. And a lot of that happens when you've built up a really good reputation in a region and the word spreads. In fact, our expansion to Orissa was exactly this. Somebody had visited one of our programs in Maharashtra. They then came over to Orissa and said, this is the type of programming we need. And we got a phone call and we flew out there and started exploring a partnership. Um, we try to go where the work is needed, not where it is easiest to go. And so that has been a real priority for us to ensure that we listen to the folks that we're serving and making sure that they require our programming. And if that programming needs to be adjusted, we always provide around 10 to 20% of our programming some flexibility to adapt to the local community and what their customs and cultures may be. And so I'm really proud that the Desai Foundation is mostly invited into the
Mhm.
communities we serve rather than us kind of evangelizing, if you will,
Yeah.
the programming.
So the funding that you raise is for supporting, or you tell me how is it used appropriately?
Yeah, absolutely. So the funding that we use is oftentimes earmarked for specific regions or specific programs, but oftentimes it's not. So we can use that funding how we see fit. Our funding is 100% from the people that we raise money from in terms of our donors. And then in India, we raise money from CSR efforts. The
Right.
CSR efforts are a little bit more focused by the nature of the Indian law. But here in the United States, when we raise money, we try to focus the efforts 100% to actionable programming. So when you write us a check for $1, that 100% of that dollar is going to programming on the ground. And what we are focused specifically on is expanding our health programming and access. It's actually through generous donations from the Boston community that we've been able to quadruple our expansion for our anemia testing, which has been really crucial intervention in the communities that we serve. It is 100% because of our donors in Boston that we've been able to expand our Asani programming to young boys, which means that we're helping to really break the stigma generationally through both teaching boys and girls about a human biological function. And so it's exactly like this that we were able to take money that we raise here and put it directly to work on the ground, whether it's through our health programs, our livelihood skilling, or our menstrual equity programs.
So it is used to fund the volunteer the people that you hire to make the programming happen, right, on the ground. Is that right?
Yes,
The people and
it is partly our staff that action the work. It is also partly the physical materials that are required. For example, we just purchased an anemia machine to help advance our anemia training. We often distribute pads. Those pads need to be paid for. We have doctors that we hire to help do our screenings. Tests, cost money. So all of that that does require funding, and that's what we use the funding for.
that's really fantastic, what you're doing, and would love to talk to you more, in detail at some point to understand
Yeah.
this really, really well. The other question I had is that here you came from like branding and marketing, and you're having a very successful corporate career, and you dropped that to actually join with your parents. I mean, it's it's not often that people do that. So how did you make that shift from going from a corporate to a philanthropic, career, and also joining a family foundation?
Yeah. I don't think that I would have joined if we were still a family foundation.
Ah,
I think that I have perfect faith in my family to make those choices in terms of writing checks. But when we shifted to a programmatic organization, I found that a lot of my corporate experience actually lent itself well to my current job, which is really just about partnerships, collaboration, execution, and creative problem solving. And I think that initially I really did see this as a um, client, right? I said that they kind of came to us in the marketing firm that I was running as a client. And it took about 2 years for me to kind of get the message that this was my calling and that this is what I needed to do. It looks like everyone around me knew it before I did, if I'm being honest. But I finally got the message, and I quit my job, shut down my business, and joined full time um, here. It is very interesting running a nonprofit versus a corporate job. Um, your measuring stick is very different. I feel like when you are in a corporate job, you know exactly whether you're being successful or not, right? Especially in advertising. Are you selling the product that you're intending to, or are you not? Are you getting promoted in your job, or are you not? And I think running a nonprofit has been exceptionally challenging from that perspective, but has also allowed me to have some profound um, eye-opening moments where I was able to shift that measuring stick and really understand what were the things that were important. Because when you open your ears and really listen to the people you serve, um, you are amazed at what's actually important to them. And that really helps you shift your measuring stick and allows you to kind of settle into the work. So I will admit I had a shaky 2 years in the beginning trying to find my footing, but I feel like I've gotten the hang of it.
Oh my God, have you got the hang of it? This eye is so successful, and all credit to you. Really, I know that your heart and soul, and I think what is it, 24 hours a day or 48 hours a day work, it shows very, very beautifully.
Thank
I
you.
was going to say that, would you tell people, why is it that they need to get involved in philanthropy? I think there are many people, who are very successful in their jobs, and I would say, especially in the Indian American community, I don't hear parents saying, give back, as much. I'm not saying many people do. I mean, your parents obviously did, but yet the focus is on be successful. So, what message do you have for young people who are very successful? The Indian American community, God is kind, we are very successful. Why get involved in philanthropy? Why give back to India? For some
Mm.
of the young people, there is not that connection as well. So, what are your thoughts for all of that?
So I think there are several reasons why it is so important. So first of all, there's data that shows that being involved in your community and volunteering and helping in a philanthropic way is actually good for your health. So right there, just to helping you to live a long, healthier life selfishly, you should give back. But I think for me, one of the reasons why it's so important to give back to India specifically, um, India is about to become or has become the largest population in the world. I think if the pandemic taught us anything, that we really truly live in a connected global world, and when a population that large isn't successful, it has consequences for those of us living here in the United States. Um, and what's been so important to me is India is on the precipice of being a very powerful nation if it was able to get its women involved in the workforce. And this is a huge shift. And I think there's an opportunity right now to really move the needle on this. My hope is that our generation that was born here and maybe doesn't feel as connected to India is to travel to India, and you will be reminded of just that very fact, Auntie, that like why we are so successful here. And I think that that connection really helps to do it. Devraj, my nephew, who's 16, just spent 3 weeks in the village in India. We sent him to live in the village for 3 weeks and to volunteer. And I can tell you his entire mind is shifted about, he was kind of hesitant to learn the language. He was kind of hesitant to, eat food. And now he wants to learn. He's speaking to me as often as he can in Gujarati. And, it is really, really powerful, that connection we have. And I actually really believe that it's important to give to both your community where you live and the community where you're from. And that is something that I hope we're able to carry into the next generation. Because if we turn our backs on these countries of origin, um, I think it can be, a real problem for us later globally.
Beautifully. So for us, for our success here itself, I think global success is important. And I think of course, I mean, from the heart itself, not even thinking in a return on investment type, I think to do the right thing is always very, very important. So people can do that by coming on September 21st and having a
Yes.
great time at the Lotus Festival. So any final message for our community here?
Yeah, I think that there are so many ways to celebrate this upcoming holiday season as it arrives. And the Lotus Festival, we try to really keep it light and entertaining. We don't have um we try really hard to keep it different every single year. And so this is going to be a really different year. We're super excited about what we're building for you. And it's going to be really powerful to hear from the folks on the ground. We have a lot of our staff here from India that's going to be speaking at the event. But really, it's also about joy and dignity. We at the Desai Foundation believe at our core, in fact, our entire mission and value system is around cultivating dignity for the people we serve. And that also goes for the people that participate with us at the Desai Foundation as a donor on the donor side, right? How do we cultivate dignity and joy so that people feel connected and joyful? And that is really something that we hope to bring to you on Saturday at the Lotus Festival.
Fantastic. I look forward to seeing it. I know that it's always one of the most fun events as well, in addition to making a big difference. Thank you, Megha, for what you're doing. Thank you to your entire family for what they've done for New England, plus all the giving back that all of you have done. You are all an inspiration. Your parents, Sam and Nilima Desai, we are truly indebted to them, and look forward to seeing the next phase of next 10 years of the Desai Foundation just unraveling in front of us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.